My father refused to sell his luxury cars, even though it's dragging us down.
You can't take my cars.
It's Father's Day today, where I live, so I feel particularly bad about it. This encounter happened yesterday. My father, 64, got full custody of me, 19 male, when I was 10 years old, and we moved 2 states away from the rest of my family. My father suffered a work accident that caused him to become disabled, and as a result, he received a hefty compensation from his former job. On top of that, he walked away from his separation from my mom with 80% of everything, so just short of $1 million.
Bang.
Woo. To put it simply, he had a lot of money. By the way, this comes from Flimsy Public 3523, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/okstorytime subreddit. I'm Carly.
I'm Sophia.
And I'm Keon.
And we'll try to give our best advice, but we haven't experienced most of these situations ourselves. So if you have, let us know your take in the comments. And OP says, unfortunately, he is financially irresponsible and had no money within a year. He purchased some land and began construction on a house. But after running out of money, we were left with a half-built home which was not suitable to live in, exposed wires, unfinished plumbing, incomplete walls, and concrete floor. He ended up raising me off his disability pension, which is below the poverty line where we live. It was rough, extremely so. We barely had food in the house most weeks, and without going into too much detail, I'm surprised I wasn't taken away by child services back then. Part of the reason he ran out of money was because he purchased 2 luxury cars. Ironically, he cannot even drive them due to his disability.
What? He can't even drive them?
It's just for show.
Yeah.
Where do you put them?
I mean, I feel like at that point, get one, and if it's possible to trick it out in some way that you can drive it, like get the
Sure.
modifications you need, but 2?
But maybe let's focus on like a house and food.
Yeah. Ironically, he cannot even drive due to his disability, so they've been gathering dust in the shed since he bought them. I couldn't even finish school because he wasn't able to drive me, and there weren't buses available where I live. Once I began earning an income as a teenager, I began putting money into the house. It's looking much better these days, but far from complete. My father's pension goes solely towards bills and whatever new gadgets he sees online. Like drones, tractors he can't use,
Stop buying vehicles that you can't drive.
and all sorts of things like that. And as a result, I am financially responsible for everything else. Groceries, medication, furniture, doctor's bills, vet bills, and even his clothes. I also often lend him money. I do not earn a lot of money and am struggling significantly.
You need to stop lending this guy money.
Yeah.
I know he's your dad, but like honestly, it's not even helping him. If anything, you can like buy the things that he needs
Yeah.
if you really want to help, but giving him the money directly is not helping him.
I am also his official carer, constantly looking after him, cleaning after him, etc. And it just feels like my entire life revolves around him as if I'm his parent and not the other way around. I am just so drained, and my exhaustion reached its breaking point this week. I started having dreams where I was just breaking down, yelling at him about how it's not fair and he's a terrible father. I talked to him yesterday morning, asked if he would consider selling his cars or even just one of them, as they would not only complete the house, but also help him as he would no longer have to live paycheck to paycheck. He said he wouldn't do it, saying they were investments. We had a bit of a back and forth, and I was trying so hard not to be mean about it because I know he dreams of recovering and being able to just drive his dream cars. But it's just never going to happen. I'm not upset that he won't sell his cars to lessen the burden on my shoulders now, but upset that he still didn't sell them when I was still a child so I could have had a better childhood. He said he got them for himself so he could have something nice for himself, and quickly got angry and defensive for even asking. I ended up asking if he thought he was a bit selfish for prioritizing himself over his own child. He said no, asked what I was accusing him of, and told me to move back with my mother if I didn't like it. I just left his bedroom where we were talking and haven't spoken to him since.
That's wild. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me.
Dang.
I would be like, all right, cool. Have
Yeah.
fun with your cars that you can't drive, and then you're going to be in
cars
debt.
and your tractors.
I was planning on getting him a Father's Day gift yesterday, but ended
No.
up breaking down to my girlfriend about how exhausted I was and how I didn't understand how he could be such a good person but a terrible parent. I ended up feeling guilty this morning and made a handmade card for him, which I stuck to the fridge with a magnet. He hasn't tried to speak to me. Any advice, please? Commenter 1 says, it's time to take care of yourself. You've been handling adult problems all along and didn't get to grow up as you should have. Paying bills, etc. is wrong. OP, start saving for yourself. It's obvious your dad doesn't care and it's all about him. If your dad doesn't sell the cars, it might be time to just leave. Dad can live with his stupid cars since they're more important to him than an unfinished house, bills, and mostly his son being raised and treated right. Is there any way you can just leave and be free of the major burden that isn't yours? Maybe move in with your girlfriend, get a roommate, or even see about going back to your mom or other family. Finish school, get a GED, figure out your goals and life. You don't deserve to be stuck as you are now. When your dad is not responsible, it's time to let go. Your dad will never learn financial responsibility. Comment 2 says, I'm not an expert, but if the market crashes, I would think luxury items would be less popular. Popularity and demand determine price, so prices would go down. But also, investments are something you have as an extra. Having a large amount of money in the form of cars while having to borrow money from your child who is struggling is not okay. Perhaps you should think about whether loaning him money is the right thing to do. It takes away any urgency for him to cash in his investments. Investment cars need maintenance and special care. If they're not kept in a garage that meets preservation standards, he won't get as much from his investments as he expects. OP says, I don't think he understands how the economy works very well and has a poor understanding of what would happen if the market crashed. I'm also not an expert, but he's even less of an expert. I'm going to watch a documentary about the Great Depression with him tonight.
So that he understands what happens when the market crashes?
Yes.
No, it's going to be really funny because he'd be like, wow, that must suck.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that
Yeah.
does suck.
That's terrible.
Yeah. I've decided to stop lending him money, but he's also decided that he's willing to sell one of the cars and is considering taking out a bank loan to complete the house so I won't have to pay for anything. Commenter 3 says, make sure he leaves them to you in his will and make sure he has a will. OP says he does have a will and everything he owns is going to me, including the house and cars. It's part of the reason why I'm putting so much money and effort into finishing the house instead of watching it deteriorate. Comment 4 says, why did he get full custody? OP says, my mom didn't want me.
Oh, ouch.
She said she wanted to retire and couldn't look after me and be a retiree at the same time. Fly says, wait, how much older is your mother than your father? OP says, she's 6 years younger than him, actually. She was 40 when I was born and he was 46. She's 59 now, and he's 64, turning 65. Reply says, so your mother retired at 50, ditched you with your disabled father, and unless you failed to mention it, never paid any form of support. What's she spending her money on, and how much have you criticized her? Your dad is a wiener. You don't deserve this, but cut him a slice of break. OP says, essentially yes and no. She didn't pay child support because she said my dad has 2 mountains of cash, his cars, sitting in the shed. She paid for half of a laptop I needed for school when I was 15, and she still holds it against me, even though I paid her back. I don't know what she spends her money on since we barely talk, only that she goes to Indonesia on holiday a few times a year and seems to be living nicely based off her Facebook posts. I'm not very close with her because she never seemed to like me very much, and told me to my face that she never wanted to have a third child, which was me.
Yikes. Also, just like the loadedness of the dad saying you should go live with your mom.
Yeah.
If you have
And
any
now
critiques against me,
knowing-
now knowing that she literally
Yeah.
said I never wanted you. Your dad doesn't
Both
sound
your
like a great
parents
person.
are not good.
No, yeah.
She had 2 children from a previous marriage. I pity my dad a lot because of his disability, which is why I try not to get mad about my childhood and support him as much as I can. I think I'm just really drained and it all exploded. We have an update. I guess. Unless you got anything, we'll just go ahead.
Just that what the commenters are saying of putting yourself first.
Yes.
I think you've done a lot for your dad, and you're
Yeah.
only 19.
Yeah.
You've given
So
so
young.
much money and also just like mental space to your dad when he's not giving you anything in return. So
I agree. I talked to my father this morning. He's willing to sell one of his cars. He took it out of the garage, and I spent a few hours cleaning the interior, which was coated in dust and somehow spider webs.
what?
He's not sure who to contact because he doesn't want to go through a car yard. I talked to him about how the cars would be losing value due to the lack of maintenance, and we spent the morning experimenting with them. They definitely require some work after all these years, but they seem to be in pretty good condition. I asked if I would be able to have 50% of the home in my name, considering how much money I've put into the house and how much more I plan to put into it, and he agreed. And by the way, I'll agree with you if you go and listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and search OK Storytime.
I agree with that statement.
Yes.
I agree with that message.
But that's great that he's doing.
You
what
got
should have
one
been done.
car. You got him to sell one car.
Yeah. Which hopefully you guys can get a lot for that will go to you since you've done so much.
What is he doing with the other car?
Just get the money for it.
Get that money.
He is also now considering taking out a loan to finish the house once and for all, which means I wouldn't have to pay for what's left. I don't know if any of it will actually stick, but either way, the responses I received opened my eyes about the trajectory of my life, and I'm going to focus on myself a lot more than I have been.
Insane to take out a loan when you have a luxury car, a second luxury car, sitting in the garage unused.
He didn't mention our argument, but judging by his mood and his sudden decisions, I think he might have spent some time thinking about his choices in life. It's too late for him to be the parent I needed as a child, but hopefully he can become the parent I need as an adult.
Dang.
That's the end
That's
of that
a
story.
real statement right there.
That is a fact.
I hope so,
at the
OP.
end
I hope
there.
so.
I hope so too.
My future sister-in-law's mother mocked our family, but I couldn't tell anyone.
Tell everybody.
And this is coming directly from the r/OKStorytime subreddit. Honestly, it's exactly how the title reads, and it really sucks because I'm technically not even legally in the family yet. So I have no clue what to do, and I don't think I should be doing anything. I did tell my partner, though, who is the eldest sibling. The groom was their brother and the middle child. By the way, this comes from Vitty Kitty 710, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
I'm Carly.
And I'm Keon.
And we try to give our best advice, but we haven't experienced most of these situations ourselves. So if you have, please let us know what you would do in the comments. But OP says, I had previously heard things about the bride, my future sister-in-law's mother. Apparently, she kind of competed with my partner's mother because my partner's brother just had a child about 2 to 3 years ago, and she's been butting heads with my partner's mother, trying to prove who's the better grandmother. She's the one that has more money, so she thinks that she can provide more. They even bought a house for them. I have nothing against this. It's honestly something really good and sentimental for them. A house is a big thing for a new family, and I respect that. However, apparently she's dropped other subtle things in the past that I can't remember. Anyway, on to the actual story. After a little bit of background that I knew about her, they decided to have a wedding outside at a waterfall at a national park to say some vows, eat some food, and spend some quality time with close family and get to know some of the direct in-laws. I think I had only met her one other time, and it was when she showed up to the grandmother's wake. I should also add that their grandmother had passed away last year, my partners and the grooms, and many years before that, they had lost their grandfather. When they planned the ceremony, they decided to have a picture of their grandmother and grandfather at the wedding with them because they were not there to physically attend. Me and my partner, their mother and sister, thought it was extremely sentimental and beautiful. We were going to ride from my partner's cousins, who they were really close with, and were raised together as if they were siblings at times. While everybody was getting ready, the groom, bride, and our side of the family were helping get the flowers and things like that from one car, while the bride's mother, stepfather, and I think some other siblings of the bride were getting the food out. Well, right before they went to get the food out of the car, I don't know why, but the mother decided to ask her daughter, the bride, if she really wanted this photo in the wedding. She looked at her honestly, offended, and said, "Yes, of course I want it in the wedding." To my surprise, the mother rolled her eyes and then went back to the car to help the stepfather unload the food. While she was back there, I happened to overhear something that I swear word for word was, "It's so weird to be so sentimental over a picture." And then she laughed with her new husband and these other adults. They all were laughing. I couldn't tell exactly all of their tones, but her tone sounded like she thought it was funny. This made my blood boil. I had known the grandmother personally before she passed away. I ended up crying really hard, and I don't like to cry, especially around my partner's family. After that, I started actually opening up to their family more because before I was so scared due to my own trauma from my family that I felt I was going to be outcasted the same way, and I unfortunately avoided them for the longest time. That's why I only got to spend like a year or two with their grandmother and getting to know them. However, I reminded myself that I am not even technically an in-law yet and started to have extreme anxiety over it, realizing that if I said something, I would be the one ruining everything, especially if her mother denied it. I didn't want to ruin a beautiful day with her already acting like that, and her daughter knowing that she was going to be annoying. The daughter and bride even said at some point something along the lines of, "God, everything's got to be about her," under her breath as her mother was walking away. I kept my mouth shut the entire time. It was to the point that my partner was even checking in on me a few times to make sure I was okay. I told them I was each time, even though I kind of wasn't. It was better to tell them that than to say what actually happened and have some sort of fight break out. I also kept my mouth shut on the way home because I didn't want to upset the person driving us. I don't know why I tend to be like this anyway. I'm unfortunately extremely passive due to trauma. When we got home, I told my partner and they got really mad. They said they weren't in a good mood anymore because of that, but did say that it was a good thing I didn't say anything because they would have possibly said or done something, and our cousin might have too.
Why are we laughing at pictures?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't understand why all of those people were acting like that, but I definitely do think it was the best move to not bring that up.
We didn't need that in the moment.
No, it's like if you're like, I don't know, like at a birthday party and you overhear someone at the birthday party being like, "Ugh, they look so ugly," about the birthday person. You
I don't
need
think
to go.
I'd ever bring that up.
No, I don't think you ever have to be like, "Yeah, that's like a
bad
really
person.
sucky thing to say." Yeah. Part of me wonders if maybe I should have said something at least in the car on the way home. However, I also have ADHD, undiagnosed autism, and auditory processing disorder. I realized that I did end up shooting her a dirty look because she looked towards me. We made eye contact for a moment, and I just shook my head with a disappointed face. Even with this subtle action alone, I'm wondering and hoping it didn't seem like I was being rude in any way.
I think you probably just confused her.
Yeah. She's like, "What's going on? What?" I only did that because I didn't know what else to do. And she looked my way while I was in a state of disappointment and containing my anger. This is kind of unrelated, but I wanted to mention it for context. I love my partner and I wish we could have had our own wedding, but we can't due to legal and financial reasons. We are both on disability and they would have cut our benefits if we were to get married. And we cannot afford that loss. I also have concerns about my own family situation since I literally only have my 2 younger siblings and I don't know if they would be able to attend because their father is manipulative and controlling. They told me today that they wish we could do something like this one day. I want to wait until my siblings are allowed to make choices for themselves, which will be only 2 years for one of my siblings, but my other sibling is 13. They have been my rock and my world. They were my world until I met my partner. Then they became part of my world together. They were also my very first supporters when I came out as trans and they were the first ones to accept me as a man. They both even started calling me big brother. That's lovely. That's awesome.
Love a supportive family.
Yeah.
Unlike this mother-in-law.
Unlike this sucky mother-in-law. I'm so grateful for them and love them so much that not having them present at a wedding would honestly hurt me and probably hurt them too. But anyway, back to the actual situation. My partner and I talked about it. I told them that honestly, the best thing would probably be to tell the groom and bride when we hang out with them next, because they want to see us before the end of the month. They'll be moving to Texas from Washington State into the house that the bride's parents bought. I asked if they wanted me to bring it up to the groom to have it be a man-to-man conversation, brother to brother. But they think it would be best if they handle it since they're siblings. I agreed, mainly because I didn't really want to talk to them about this. And I feel like I don't have the complete right to speak on it. I feel like I at least don't have the right to call that out directly. I personally think that they should address this because if not, who's to know if she's going to respect other family members later on? Not only that, but their mother also just got diagnosed with a fatal condition that might only give her 5 years. With this kind of attitude, who's to say that the bride's mother even cares about her? Especially when she's already competed with her and tried to make her feel lesser by trying to be the better grandmother. I also feel like it's unfair to their mother for them to be moving this quickly since she's only been a grandmother for 1 year. For some reason, the bride and groom have stated multiple times that they only want the grandparents watching their child. They don't even feel comfortable with their siblings watching him? That's weird. That feels strange.
It is a little weird, but yeah, their choice, I guess.
Yeah. We offered to watch him multiple times. I even got an entire diaper bag and a pack and play ready for him. But the pack and play didn't really ever get used until I offered to give it to their mom. The formula that I kept for emergencies was only used when they ran out and texted asking if we had any. Then they would just drive over, pick it up, and leave. I genuinely care about them and their kid and hope for the best for them, even if we disagree with some of their choices. They're their choices because it's their life and their kid. We made sure to give them a card and I gave them some crystals, hoping for good vibes for their marriage. I got their child a little play phone because he likes playing with people's smartphones. It's just a little plastic brick that has some buttons and makes noises. He's about 3 and has just started to learn how to run. By the way, you should run towards full episode stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. There is a little bit left, but do you have any final thoughts? I can also give my final thoughts.
No, I'm picturing a cute little 3-year-old learning to run. Yeah, I mean, like, they can sort it out themselves. I don't think you ever really needed to say anything.
I agree.
I think if it's gonna give you the peace of mind, then sure. But, like, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, sounds like mother-in-law just kind of sucks.
And I feel like they probably know. Because there's no way.
I'm sure they know. I can't imagine that she didn't make a direct comment to her. Yeah. Or that it doesn't come back that she also heard it.
Exactly. I think they know, and they're just trying to put up with mother-in-law because mother-in-law is giving them a house and providing a lot of money. And when you have a new kid, that's pretty helpful.
It could end up being like, oh, yeah, we know she sucks.
Yeah.
We can talk about it now, I guess, because you also know. But other than that, like.
So I don't think you need to, but I don't think it'll.
I think it's fine that you do.
I don't think it's honestly going to start a fight. I think they're going to be like, yeah, she sucks. I'm looking for advice on how to not let this eat at me, and also how can I support my partner in communicating this to them since I was the one that ended up hearing it. I want to be a good boyfriend and also an unofficial uncle-in-law. That's also why I can't help but be upset about this. The last few months, they just started calling me uncle to their kid, which made me smile real big. I couldn't help but cry happy tears when I got home thinking about how I get to be an uncle now. I will miss the little booger, and I'll miss spending time with my now unofficial brother-in-law and sister-in-law, their dog, and their cats. Yes, they have animals, and that's literally what we used to do, doggy playdates. It wasn't too often, but it was really fun. And that's the end of that story. I think you are overthinking it just a little bit.
I think you're overthinking it a lot, but you're handling it fine.
But it's okay. I think you're going to talk to them, and it's going to be all right. So don't worry about it too much.
Chilling.
I think they probably know that the mother-in-law sucks.
Yeah, Opie's one of our own, so we want the best for you.
We love you.
You're doing great.
You're doing great.